We're surrounded by.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. I am your host, Dalton Miller, joined as always by my co-host, Corey Kinnan. And today we are going over the NFC North draft, going through the picks, grading out these classes for each team. How did they do? How did consensus believe that they did? We will get to their report cards here shortly. But first, I have to ask, Corey, how are you doing today on our Double Up podcast?
Yeah, doubling up here. I got a little work conference here, so we got to pull some double duty here. I am doing well. I'm ready to knock this out. We're through the whole AFC. Let's get into the NFC here and get moving.
Yep, we are going to get moving. And when we get moving and we get into the offseason, we are going to be doing 3 shows a week, one on Monday, one on Wednesday, and one on Friday. Wanted to bring that up before we got started here. A little bit of housekeeping. We will be pulling back one episode, but that is all. And let's get into it. How did these teams grade out? Because the media didn't love what happened in this division.
The 19th is the highest graded AFC or NFC North team here.
And 3 teams under 25 or 25 or under. Not a great outing for the NFC North when you look at it from the media perspective. And Thor specifically hated them. And I know we keep bringing Thor up, but it's because he's like the only person that actually had any red in his column for bad grades. And so he was one of the only ones who actually handed out poor grades in the media. He is no coward. I mean, do you want to start at the bottom? Do you want to start at the bottom of the divisional totem pole and go with Chicago and just go and talk about the pick that you projected and you love so much? And it was the perfect fit and blah, blah, blah. Let's start with the Bears.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Yeah, the Colson Loveland pick, man. I really do love this pick. And again, what it comes down to is one, getting playmakers for Caleb Williams, young playmakers, explosive playmakers, mismatch playmakers for Caleb Williams. And I think they accomplished that goal here with Colson Loveland at 10th overall. But again, you look at what Ben Johnson did with Sam Laporta, and I do think that Colson Loveland can have a very similar play style to what Sam Laporta did in Detroit for Ben Johnson. Again, you look at Keenan Allen not re-signing with this team, and so they need kind of a bigger, reliable slot receiver in that offense for Caleb Williams as well. And I think that Colson Loveland checks that box as well. They did just draft Luther Burden, but that might be a little bit more indication of maybe DJ Moore's future in Chicago. But I love this fit, and I think this is going to be a player like Sam Laporta broke rookie tight end records until Brock Bowers broke them the year later, but broke rookie tight end records in Ben Johnson's offense. And so when I look at that and I look at like the need for Caleb Williams to take a leap, like it makes sense to go get him another weapon, to go get him another target. And I think Colson Loveland fits this offense like a glove.
Drafting 2 slot receivers back to back is an interesting decision in my opinion. But no, I think it's actually a lovely fit for Luther Burden because it gives him a little bit of a window before he really needs to be needed, which was probably needed. And I think when you look at Luther Burden, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but the comp between him and DJ Moore is really kind of close. Yeah. Similarly, like stacked up builds. More manufactured touch guys in college, but DJ Moore rounded into a legitimate like Z slot wide receiver who became a 3-level threat and had downfield presence and was still a playmaker behind the line of scrimmage. And I think that's how you use Luther Burden earlier. You kind of use Luther the way that Los Angeles has used Quentin Johnston. You just hope that he can catch the football in year one. And listen, Johnston was far, far better this past season and productive this past season. And I think that you were hoping for a similar trajectory for Burden, but with more playmakers around this offense already to take a little bit of the, this is my second pun in a row for a podcast, the burden off of the wide receiver. The first one was by accident. This one was on purpose. But I really do like those picks. Ozzie Trapilo in round 2, I think is fine value. The back end of round 2, but I really, really enjoy the Shamar Turner pick just because I'm a big fan of Shamar Turner. And when you look at the way that Chicago has kind of built their defensive line, they don't value like legitimate edge juice. They are very much from the old regime, the old head coach, a 4-3 under attacking 3 technique D, and Shamar Turner is exactly that. Now, it might be a little bit redundant with what they already have there, but I don't think that you can ever have too much interior pressure players.
I agree. The Shamar Turner pick is nice there. I think he brings a different element than Andrew Billings and Gervin Dexter and some of those other guys in that room. And so I do like the fit. I
don't think it's too dissimilar from Dexter. I mean, Dexter, I think, is somebody who brings you juice from the interior as well.
He does,
in
but
a
he's
little
more
bit
like
of a different
linear.
package.
He's through the chest, yeah. Where I think Turner can give you some 5 tech reps and win outside of the outside shoulder of guards and even inside shoulder of some tackles. A little
he
more
literally used to play edge at Texas A&M.
Well,
so
yeah. Day 3 went a little off the rails for the Bears, though. I think like Arif Hassan's consensus board didn't even have Ruben Hippolyte on it. And
I don't care. I'm drafting a name there. Love it.
Yeah, there we go.
Hippolyte, linebacker, unbelievable.
Luke Newman, I saw that dude at the Shrine Bowl, and I get it's the 195th overall pick, but that dude, I don't know if that guy deserves to be on the roster. And then Monangai, I like Monangai. I think I'm fine in the 7th round there. Like that's fine. That's fine. Especially if they don't go and get a more physical running back in free agency, which there is rumors that they might be going after one of the better running backs in the NFL over the past few years who has had back-to-back season-ending injuries. Just to hint at
I wonder who that could be.
Browns, and there's rumors they might be after that running back. But if they don't get him, I think Monangai can handle he can't handle a David Montgomery, but like a Craig Reynolds type workload. What Craig Reynolds did in Detroit, I think, is fine for Monangai there for a 7th round pick as well. So yeah, overall a pretty decent draft. I like their first 2 picks, man, and I like the Trapilo pick's fine, and I get it based off of the run of offensive tackles that just happened in front of them. I think some offensive tackles were pretty overdrafted, and I think Trapilo fits into that mold, but it's fine based off of the value of the position and the players that were available at the position. I think it's fine. Other than that, I don't have too much else to say about this draft.
No, neither do I. Let's move on. You want to move on to Green Bay, or do you want to hit one of these other teams? Because at this point, it's like the Bears were obviously at the bottom of the totem pole for the division, but
yeah, let's hit Green Bay. Green Bay appropriately drafted a lot of players, I think is the way to say this. Green Bay was a team that kind of let the draft come to them a little bit here. Again, I think Belton, another offensive tackle that was relatively overdrafted, but again, 2 picks before Trapilo, so we're talking about after the run of offensive tackles already happened. Whatever. I also like the John Williams pick at 250. John Williams is a pretty good player. So I like that. Colin Oliver is a DPR, man. He's going to bring some juice. He very much is like Preston Smith-ish. And they just traded Preston Smith. And so I kind of like that pick there in the 5th round too.
The Belton pick is just so weird for that team specifically that has had very specific guidelines and thresholds at the offensive line position. And that is specifically not monsters. And if Anthony Belton is one thing, it is an absolute monster at 6'6", 340 pounds. I think I like him a little bit more then you liked him. But in the back end of round 2 is a little bit high for me. What is not high for me, and not high for you, I would say that you think it's appropriate value. I think it's appropriate value, although the way that you talk about him, it feels like he is even better value than the 23rd pick, and that is Matthew Golden. They needed a dude, like a legit dude, because I think that they have some really good wide receiver talent. But to get that legitimate, that guy who can legitimately be a ball winner, a ball hog, a target hawk, that is what they needed. And I think that that's what Matthew Golden can be for them on the outside.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Matthew Golden. I love Matthew Golden. Again, any listener of this podcast knows that. But I love Matthew Golden in a context where, like, I don't know if he's a dude, but like I envision Matthew Golden being like a Jordan Addison type pick where a team had a dude and they went out and got that guy a compliment. And Matthew Golden could be that, like, Jordan Addison to Justin Jefferson kind of player. The Jackson Smith and Jigba in a room with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett kind of dude. He's going into a room with Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams now, Christian Watson. Like, does he have a skill set that he can produce when he is going to be the primary guy who's going to draw attention in that wide receiver room? I envision Matthew Golden. It's like, I love this guy. Like Houston would have been an unbelievable landing spot for Matthew Golden, where they have Nico Collins, who does take that attention. Like, that's the kind of role I was like, man, I really love Matthew Golden as a Z in an offense like this. I don't know if I love Matthew Golden in a wide receiver room full of Z receivers. You know, like that's where I struggle. I think the value is appropriate here at 23. What he's going to be asked to do in that wide receiver room, to be the guy in that wide receiver room, that's where I like. Ugh.
I don't mind it because
for like George Pickens, then like sure.
This is an offense that doesn't really care. They're going to spread the ball around anyways. They're not going to force feed. It's not going to be like the Dallas Cowboys with Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott early on. But first of all, Jordan Love's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do anyways. But it's not the type of offense that is going to force feed the ball to a single wide receiver. That's just not the way KOC works.
I get it, and I get that.
Or KOC, Matt LaFleur works.
Matt LaFleur. But we both know that Matthew Golden's not a 2.9, like a 4.29 guy. Even if
I don't care.
Grant. But
Christian
like
Watson is.
Saying, like, how does he win? How does he win at the NFL level? When?
What do you mean? How does he win? We spent the entire year talking about how technically sound and how shifty he was.
But he's
and
not
his
like
ability to separate.
Separator, though.
He was
an elite. I think he's refined, and I think he has that like subtle touch at the top of routes to create a little bit of cushion.
Yeah, that's what you need.
But we're talking about him like he's a Garrett Wilson level player, like a Garrett Wilson level route runner, a Garrett Wilson level separator.
No, Garrett Wilson was
more of a Jared.
Garrett Wilson was a top 5 talent.
I know, but like he's going to be asked to be a Garrett Wilson type player.
No, he won't.
See, I kind of disagree with that.
Why would he? He was the 23rd pick, not the 10th.
But he's going into a room where he's the best receiver in that room, where he's going to be asked to be the best receiver in that room.
Oh, okay. That's fine. It's a room that has spread the ball out and hasn't cared who the number one.
I think that's fine.
We can't even tell over the past couple of years who was the number one, and they're still making the playoffs. That offense is still efficient.
Yeah, but everybody knew they needed a wide receiver.
Sure. It doesn't mean that he's coming in and people are gonna expect him to be Justin Jefferson.
No, I'm not expecting that either.
I mean, he was picked after Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison was a 22nd pick.
He was, but Jordan Addison went to a team that had a dude.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is at 22, you're not asking them to, I mean, you are asking him to be the dude, but you're not asking him to be the dude. He's not Jamar Chase. He wasn't drafted to be Jamar Chase, just flat out.
Right. I would still feel confident if this team had a ball winner, like a down the field ball winner.
He is a downfield ball winner.
Man, we're missing each other on this one.
We're not
missing each other on this one.
How often do we talk about him at 5'10", 5'11", and his ability to go up and get the football? We
I
talked
want
about
him
his
to be a
refinement. We
Z
talked about his
complement
ability
with
to
a
take
guy
the
who
ball
can
away
go out
from
and just
defenders.
win at every level.
So I don't understand how I've all of a sudden become the
I
defender
know.
of Matthew
I
Golden
know.
here.
I know. I feel like I'm saying this as clearly as I can as well, and I don't know if I could articulate it any.
No, it's just something that we're going to disagree.
Yeah,
I
we're
think we
gonna
just
disagree on it.
disagree on how much pressure is going to be put on Matthew Golden in Green Bay, because I just don't think I just don't think it's this impossible task for him to go and catch the 65, 70 passes in year one.
No, I think 65, 70 is realistic.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to spread the ball out. He doesn't need to take 150 targets on this football team.
My stock went down on him as well when he chose the number 22. So,
well, yeah, that's tough. Hopefully that'll change, and we can move on to Minnesota.
I love Minnesota. Did some good work with minimal resources.
Yeah, they should have done more work with minimal resources by getting more resources.
Yeah.
But they did what they had to do.
The run we saw on offensive tackles, and you didn't get a team to come up. You couldn't find a team to come up and get an offensive tackle.
I don't know.
The Browns at 33 weren't calling to try to come up, because I know the Browns were going to take Josh Simmons at 33 until the Chiefs took him at 32.
Maybe they just really, really had their eyes set on Donovan Jackson.
Could be. Again, I get it, because I've been a very firm believer in Donovan Jackson since his playoff run as well. And again, you have a left tackle who's coming off an ACL tear. And so if you need a left tackle to start in a pinch, he's done it at a very high level, at the highest of high pinnacle of the college football playoffs against James Pierce, first round pick. Second round, who'd they play the freaking second round? Why am I blanking on this? Oregon. Against Oregon, Jordan Birch, solid player, who went in the first 2 days of the draft into the Texas game, where Simmons is going to be a first-round pick coming off the edge there. Braden Sorrell landed with the Packers on day 3 as well, and into the national championship game against Notre Dame as well, who has a bevy of pass rushers. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to complain about here with the Donovan Jackson selection. I know people will argue the positional value of a guard, but that's a starting left tackle on a pinch as well. So, great player.
I agree 100%. I think it's a fantastic pick. You sit there, pick the guy that you want. But the best pick in this class is Ty Felton. Him as the number 3, potentially. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he doesn't even have the pressure of being the number 3, because Taylor has been fantastic for them as the number 3. But Felton is a guy who, I mean, we're talking about somebody who can take the top off of a defense with his speed. And this is a guy who at Maryland was a target hog. He had the 3rd most targets in college football last year. He was a manufactured touch guy. He is everything that people tried to build Troy Franklin as.
Yes.
Coming out of Oregon. That's exactly how I feel about him. He has that same type of fluidity with the ball in his hands that Troy Franklin showed with the ball in his hands at times, and that creativity with the ball in his hands. But that creativity with the ball in his hands and that fluidity also extends to him as just a pure route runner as well. Mm-hmm. And so for me, Ty Felton is a knock it out of the park. I mean, we're talking about very, very could easily be the best wide receiver trio in the NFL moving into 2026 when he develops a little bit and kind of shows his cards at the NFL level. And as long as JJ McCarthy is a competent NFL player, there's no reason why this team shouldn't have one of the best offenses in the NFL this year.
They should have Super Bowl aspirations. If JJ McCarthy is a first-round pick, is a first-round quarterback, they should have Super Bowl aspirations. This team is good. This team is loaded. And to think that they wanted a competitive rebuild after the Kirk Cousins stuff, and they did it pretty quick. They are legitimate good quarterback play away from being a competitive Super Bowl caliber football team. I don't love any of their day 3 picks, though. I think their day 3 picks are just I don't have a lot to say about Gavin Bartholomew, Kobe King, or Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, to be completely honest. Yeah. But those first, that round 1, round 3 pick, yeah. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Moving on to the Detroit Lions, who graded out very poorly. They tied 30th overall draft class I don't know, man. I see a bunch of Dan Campbell players in this draft class.
Right. Right. It
I just see a bunch of Dan Campbell players.
I don't see where they went wrong besides the fact that they drafted Dan Campbell players. And this is what the Detroit Lions do. They go out, they do whatever the hell they want. They just pick good football players at their positions of need. They don't care about positional value. They drafted 2 guards in their first 4 picks. Granted, end of round 2 and end of round 5. But like, I loved what I saw from Miles Frazier at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very, very experienced starter at LSU. Tate Ratledge, good player. Dog. As soon as you see the hair, you know he is a Dan Campbell player. And Tyleek Williams, Dan Campbell player.
Love it.
Blast eater. Isaac Tesla, blocker. Glass eater. Like, I don't think he's a very good football player personally.
70s overall is a little steep for him,
but you don't need him. You literally don't need Isaac Tesla to catch the football.
No.
And then you go out and get, I think, Ahmad Hassanin. Yeah, that's a mouthful for me, unfortunately. It's just a fine role player. And Dan Jackson is somebody who, I mean, they have their safeties in Detroit.
They do.
And as a rotational guy, I absolutely love it because I loved what I saw from Dan Jackson, and Dan Jackson knows how to play complementary football to an unbelievable safety already.
Yeah, exactly that.
I don't hate this draft at all.
No, I don't either. I don't understand how it gets so low. There's no better fit to replace DJ Reader after the season than Tyleek Williams. There's no better fit to replace Graham Glasnow after the season than Tate Ratledge. Like, this team is set for the future. And that's what they're doing. When you're picking at the back end of first round, there's a very solid chance that you're not drafting a day 1 starter. If you are a good football team like the Detroit Lions and you're picking 30th, 29th, whatever the heck they were picking, like, the odds of you landing 28th, a starting player year 1 at that pick, it's just not huge. So, like, look at your roster. Where are you getting old, and where do you need to stay good next year? Defensive tackle. Tyleek Williams is the epitome of a Detroit Lion as well. Like, I don't understand the hate for this class. I love it. What did you want him to do? Like, what day 1 player could they have gone out and got? Like, that is going to come in and be a day 1 starter on that roster? Honestly, Tate Ratledge might be, because Graham Glasnow is not that great. Christian Mahogany's not that great. So if you got a starter, there it is, a 57. Like, I don't understand the I don't get it. I don't know. I love this draft.
So do I. And that's really all I have to say. Let's go through and grade these.
Yeah.
Let's just start with the Lions.
A minus, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a B. I'm gonna give him a B. Just the Tesla pick is meh for me. But they picked a bunch of Dan Campbell dudes.
Yeah.
Watch
them turn him into like a big slot.
Mm-hmm. The Vikings didn't have, and we have to grade the Vikings on a curve just because they didn't have a lot to work with. I'm gonna give it a B minus. Because I wish that they would have done more. Actually, I'm gonna give them a C plus because I wish that they would have done more and gotten more picks and more cheap contracts out of this. But to come out of this with Donovan Jackson and then Ty Felton at the end of round 3 is pretty good on a team that already has a pretty loaded roster.
That's why I'm gonna go B minus. I'm gonna still stick in the B range. If they would have found a day 3 player that I liked as well, maybe I would have given him a B. But like, none of those day 3 picks do anything for me personally. So,
I think the Packers are probably who you're going to be the lowest on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Colin Oliver pick. I like the John Williams pick. I like the Matthew Golden pick. You know, after all that conversation, but yeah, this feels like a C plus kind of draft to me.
Yeah, I think it's a C. I think it's a C. I don't mind Sorrell either. We didn't talk about Sorrell at all, but I think as a rotational guy, he can give you a little bit of juice.
The issue is they don't have anybody who can get home, and they didn't draft anybody like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, but
Chicago.
I really love those first 2 picks, and I love the 3 out of the top 4 picks here. I'm gonna go with a B, in between a B minus and a B, like an 83%, 83.5%.
Yeah, it's really tough because like as draft guys, we really like to see awesome day threes. And we didn't really see an awesome day three for them, or at least what we believe to be an awesome day three. So that kind of hurts them for me.
NFC North here, yeah.
But at the end of the day, they also got 2 of the top 25 guys in the class.
Yeah.
So, and Shamar Turner, who is very much a top 100 guy for me as well. So I enjoy it. Let's give it a B minus here. Let's give it a B minus because I do think getting a gunslinger, for lack of a better terms, Jordan Love is a modern day gunslinger. Getting him a target like Colston Loveland, who can go out and snatch the football, and a guy like Luther Burden, who can catch the football behind the line of scrimmage and make plays, makes Jordan Love's job easier, which I think is necessary to save him from himself sometimes.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Dalton. Well, that's the NFC North there.
Yeah.
What do you got for us here?
It's time to get breakfast, get on the Theragun, and then get back to work on the computer.
Love it. It's time for me to go to bed. So
go to bed.
Yes. Awesome. Well, again, this has been another episode of the Depth on Draft podcast, and I'll steal this one from Dalton. Thanks so much for listening, and I love you guys.